Dear students, welcome to the TX webinar, the Exam TX. It's a challenging exam that relates to UK taxation, and we are preparing for June 2025 session. We are going to discuss the latest Finance Act, which is being used, which will be applied during your studies, that is Finance Act 2024, which I mentioned here. So let's begin. Let's get underway with the webinar and let's understand various challenges that we're going to see and how we can do well in this exam, understanding of the exam and techniques of the exam. The support that Vertex is going to provide you will be discussed during this webinar. So let's begin. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm going to be your tutor for the TEX exam, and I qualified back in June 2006. I have been teaching TEX for a long time, and I've been working with Vertex since June 2023. And I have been teaching this content in various institutes, and I have achieved exceptional results. So that's about me. Now let's move on to the purpose of the webinar. What are we going to achieve after attending this webinar? What sort of understanding are we going to develop once we have attended this webinar? So my intention, my purpose of conducting this webinar is to give you the insights about this exam, about the paper pattern, about the important aspects of the syllabus, so that you people have a deeper understanding and you can benefit from this exam, and how this exam is going to be part of the overall ACCA qualification, and how this will help you relate with other exams of the whole stream. So let's begin. So the main purpose, I would say, the webinar will be considered effective if you feel confident, if you feel comfortable about this exam, if you feel confident that you have a deeper understanding of the expectations of this exam, then I would say that we have fulfilled the purpose of conducting the webinar, and you have attained the purpose, or you have achieved the objective of attending the webinar. Okay, so these are the things which you expect to have after the webinar is concluded: that you feel yourself confident about the exam, you have a deeper understanding of the syllabus, what are the expectations of your examiner. Okay, so let's begin. So the first thing that we have is the overview of ACCA, the text exam. So it's just an overview, like what are the important details, and what you need to understand, what approach you need to adopt to be successful here. So the syllabus that we are going to carry is going to be UK based, the UK taxation, and the purpose of this is to help understand the various taxes which are applied in the UK and the various incomes that people earn. We're going to have a deeper look into various incomes, like the individuals can have this employment income. Majority people do jobs, and they would have variety of incomes, like the employment income I'm discussing here, the variety of incomes. So we will understand, if an individual is working for someone and they're earning employment income, how will they be taxed? If someone is earning trading income, we're going to understand how to apply the tax rules on that. Okay. People might have property business income, they might have a property and they let it out and they earn rent. So we're going to understand how we're going to apply taxes on such incomes. People have interest income, which they get from the savings that they have deposited. So we will understand how to apply tax on that. people have dividend income, they invest in companies, and as a return on their investment, they expect dividends. So we will see how to tax them. So this is just about the first, which is the income tax. The incomes that I've discussed with you are do come under the income tax. We're going to discuss the income tax in detail in the coming slide. So this is just an overview to help appreciate the importance of the exam. So I will also discuss the approach. So let's move on to the next one. The This exam also helps you to understand why the UK Treasury or the UK Finance Ministry applies certain taxes, gives certain exemptions. So these are very important things to realize. So we will understand the implications of various taxes, and we will also see why those taxes and allowances are applied by the UK Treasury and their finance ministry. Okay. So, and how these are used to control the economy. For instance, there might be extra tax on certain incomes, and there might be exemptions on certain incomes. Like some of the incomes would be exempt. For example, there are specific schemes where if you invest in those schemes and you get interest income, that interest income is exempt. There is no taxation on that. So such things are designed so that people save. The taxpayers are encouraged to save. Okay. And then there are higher rates of tax for individuals earning a lot of income. So the tax authorities would apply the higher rates of tax so to encourage progressive taxing, which means that if an individual is earning more money, they would pay more tax. And if an individual is earning less money, they would pay less tax. So this shows the equitable policy of the UK tax planning and the UK tax rules, which are set out in the taxation system. They want to tax the rich, and they want to provide relief and benefit to the poor, and they also want to encourage taxpayers to save. So these are few important understandings that you need to develop. So we looked at variety of incomes, then we looked at why certain taxes are there and why certain allowances are given. So the third element which I want to emphasize is that students also learn how to use tax planning. There are a lot of rules which are designed in a way to benefit from them. So if an experienced tax practitioner is working, they would offer their clients valuable advice to reduce their tax without evading any tax. Okay, so they are not going to be stealing from the UK Treasury or the department which is HMRC, Her Majesty Revenue and Customs. So it is not about stealing tax money, it is about planning using tax rules to your benefit. So this is allowed. Okay. So students also understand how to use tax planning, how to benefit from that, and companies can also do that by understanding the tax rules. So an individual who has no understanding would just end up paying higher taxes, whereas an individual who is an expert in tax rules will provide the clients with valuable guidance how to reduce their tax liability. Okay, so I hope you understand and appreciate. First of all, we understood variety of incomes. Then we looked at certain taxes, why taxes are applied, why certain allowances are provided, and how tax planning can be used to benefit the taxpayers. So I would pause here and I would take your questions. If you people have any questions regarding any understanding, you people can ask your questions. Okay. So I want this webinar to be an interactive session. So I am moving on. If you people have any questions, you can always stop me and we can discuss. Okay. So this is now I'm moving towards what approach you need to follow. The approach that we need to have in this exam is to imagine. Now this is my own approach which I use while teaching. I recommend my students that they should think that they are the tax practitioners and they are there to calculate taxes, or they need to imagine as if they are an employee and they are earning certain employment income, or they are a trader, they are doing their business and they're earning some money, and they would like to know how this income of theirs is going to be taxed, or they have certain property and they have let it out, and they would like to know how this property income will be taxed. Saving incomes, they have some interest income and they would like to know how this would be taxed. They have some dividend income and they would like to know, or they would want to see how that income would be taxed. So this way you're actually going to be have a deeper understanding, you're going to develop a really good understanding of the exam. So I hope this makes good sense, that being a tax practitioner, if a client comes to you and tells that he is only earning employment income, you would advise them how their incomes would be taxed. Or there is some individual earning profits in their trade, or at times you will encounter situations where an individual has all sorts of incomes. They are working for someone, they have their own small business, they have some property, they have some interest income, some dividend income. So they would like to know how their income would be taxed. So we're going to put all the incomes together. We're going to see like what is the total bracket of the income for certain tax rates to be applied. As I said, that an individual earning a lot of money is going to be taxed at the highest rate. So we are going to discuss the rates in the study course. You will be looking at all the videos and you will understand how the tax rates are applied, what exemptions are available. So this is the approach which you need to use. Like, you need to imagine yourself as a tax practitioner or an individual who is thinking of calculating a tax for himself. So then you will really understand, and then you will be understanding the concept as if you're doing things in real life. So that way, your exam study will become very practical and very meaningful. So I hope you understand the approach that I want you to have. With this approach, you're going to have really good time studying the exam. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. As I said, that this is a very practical approach. You would learn things because in future you people are going to be doing your own businesses. Some of you are going to do certain jobs, so you will have to deal with this situation anyway. You will have to pay taxes in whichever country you reside. You will have to pay taxes, so you need to have an understanding how the tax system works. The tax systems more or less works the same way in all countries. In the developed economies, the taxation is better, like enhanced in a way that it is progressive. They tax people who earn a lot of money, and they give exemptions and reliefs to people who earn less. Okay, so next thing is the memorization of tax rules, which will only become easy once you have this approach, this practical approach. If you try to learn everything, it will be very difficult. You will forget a lot of stuff. But if you apply the rules while doing the question practice and while understanding or following this approach, then you will see that memorization of the text rules will become easy. Okay. Otherwise, it will be a huge problem, and you will be thinking that you have to learn everything, and every now and then you will feel that you're forgetting. So I don't want you to enter into this situation. I want you to apply the rules, do question practice. With question practice, you automatically, when you use the rules again and again, you automatically tend to remember a lot of rules. Okay. So I hope I have established the importance of this exam, how the rules are set, and what variety of incomes are there, how tax planning can be done, and what sort of approach I would like you people to adopt. Okay. Yes. If we are comfortable, we can proceed. Fine. So if you have no questions, I would move on. Otherwise, if you have any questions, you people can let me know. So I am moving on now to the next slide. So let's look at the format of the TX exam, your TX exam. The format is pretty much the same for all the ACCA skills level, and so you will have three sections. The total marks are 100, and the time allocated is 3 hours. So let's underline that. 100 marks, 3 hours is your time available. You will have three sections, section A and section B. Section A and section B are both MCQ based, but there is slight difference with section A having 15 objective test questions with 2 marks each. That sums up to 30 marks. So that is section A. And then comes section B. And section B, those they're going to be 15 marks, but 15 questions, but those would be divided into three scenarios. So every scenario will have different information, and there will be 5 questions relating to each scenario. Okay, so the marks are the same, since you will have 15 questions again, and every question is going to be worth 2 marks. So that is also 30 marks. This part is also 30 marks. So section A, you have separate 15 questions, but in section B, you have 5 questions for 3 scenarios. Overall, there are going to be 15 questions. That sums up to again 30 marks. So section A and section B have overall 60 marks of the syllabus of the exam. So if total marks are 100, 60 marks are covered in section A and section B. So that is a lot of marks, and you have to try and get maximum marks out of these 2 sections to secure a pass mark here. Okay, so the important thing here, whenever there's a scenario, you have to understand the scenario, and all the 5 questions will be related to the scenario. So you need to have a good understanding of the scenario so that you could have the correct answers. Okay, the questions will be related to the scenario. Now come to your section C. Section C of the exam. Now it is 3 constructed response questions. This is not the MCQ. You have to use Excel to write your answers. There's going to be a 110 marker and 215 markers. So that is going to be your 40 marks. So section A and section B combined 60 marks, and section C is going to be 40 marks. But here you will have to basically do a proper working. You have to follow a proper format of maybe the text computations for individuals, for companies, and we're going to see what sort of topics will be tested in each section here on the guidance on attempting the exam. Okay, so I hope you understand the format. 100 marks, 3 hours, 3 sections, and section A and B, 30 marks each. Section C, a 10 marker and 2 15 markers. So I'm now moving on to the guidance on the attempting the exam. This is quite important. As I said, that 50 mark is the pass mark. So one has to first of all make sure that they secure the pass mark, and then they could make sure that they secure a high score. But first of all, making sure that you pass your exam by taking 50% marks. There is no choice in the exam. All the questions are compulsory, and these have to be answered. Now, the guidance the examiner has provided about section A and section B, that the questions can come from any area of the syllabus. So this is a bit of a scary thing, which shows that we cannot skip any part of the syllabus. The 2 sections will be tested from any area of the syllabus, which rooms little which actually leaves no room for selective study. You can be tested from any area. So it is important that you do not go for selective study. Give your reasonable time to your preparation. Next, we look at section C. So as I said that in section C, there is a 10 marker and 2 15 markers. So the 10 marker again will be coming from any area of the syllabus. And the 2 15 markers are dedicated. One is dedicated to the income tax, which is related to the taxation of individuals, and 115 marker is dedicated for the corporation tax, which is related to taxing companies. If a company is earning any sorts of income, trading, property, interest, any income that the company is making would be taxed under corporation tax. And these responses are human marked. However, Section A and Section B are MCQ based, so they will be marked by computers. But the Section C will be a structured question, the constructed question style, as explained here. So they will be marked by the markers. So you need to know that there are major sections, which is income tax, and the other one is corporation tax. The examiner has dedicated a full 15 marker to each section. It does not mean that they won't be tested elsewhere. They are also tested the dominant part of section A and section B is again the income tax and the corporation tax. You expect a lot of questions in section A and section B related to these two major taxes. Okay, and they will also be tested in section C. So these you cannot avoid them. These will be tested in all the sections of the exam. So we have a discussion on the format and the marks, and now we have a look at the guidance, like what sort of topics would be tested in which sections. So if we are comfortable with this, we can move on. If there are any questions, you people can put your queries. So I feel we're doing good. If there is any question, you people are free to ask them. I will be happy to answer your queries. So I am moving on to the next one now. We have this the certain key areas of the syllabus. We want to have developed the understanding of the ACCA tax exam, and the key areas of the syllabus. We have some idea by having the initial discussion. Now let's have a more detailed analysis. There is this UK tax system. We have some discussion like how the tax system is designed, how the administration is done. So we will be looking at that. The administration is done, which is based on penalty systems. The people who follow the tax rules, they get benefit, and if someone is not following the tax rules, like they're not uh, depositing the tax due, then there are penalties. There are serious penalties. There are less serious penalties depending on the behavior of the taxpayer. The tax system is designed, what sort of departments are involved. The whole department, the HMRC, Her Majesty Revenue and Custom Department, like if someone has a complaint, how the complaint would be addressed. There are certain tribunals designed. Okay, and there's a whole system that works for the collection of taxation. So these are all will be studied during your whole exam. Then we already have discussed the income tax, the taxation that is applied on the individuals. The corporation tax is for companies. The capital gains tax is when an individual sells an item which they bought for use, but now they are selling it and they sold it at a profit, like they bought it cheap and now they're selling it expensive. But it is not something that they do it on a daily basis, like a business would sell certain products. So that would be tested under trading income, not under capital gains. For example, an individual may have some property and they sold it. They bought the property cheap and now they're selling it expensive. So they have a gain, and there are special rules to tax that gain. That would be treated under capital gains tax, so that you understand another form of tax. Okay. So the income tax is on the income that you earn every month or every year, whereas the items that you have kept for using and you sell it after a certain, like after a few years, and you achieve a gain on them. So to tax that gain, there is a special tax which is capital gains tax. Then there is this value added tax. This is the tax which is applied on the revenue of the business. Like if a business is making sales, so whatever value they have added would be taxed according to the VAT rules. That's another important area. It is also tested well, but not as deeply as the income tax and corporation tax, but it is tested well. Then there is this inheritance tax. The inheritance tax comes into play when an individual dies and he leaves certain inheritance. Okay, he has some assets which he leaves to his descendants, and then how to tax them. So that will be covered under inheritance tax. We will be understanding this topic in detail. Then there is this national insurance contribution. So this is other than your income tax. This is an extra sort of tax which you have to pay, or and something that individuals contribute towards insurance. So it is separate. There are separate classifications for individuals who are in employment, individuals who are trading. So there are separate rules for national insurance, like how much contribution an employee is going to make, how much contribution a trader is going to make, and the person or the business that is employing people will also pay national insurance. Okay, so it's a huge system set up by the tax authorities to benefit the taxpayers. Okay, so the national insurance is developed. So there's a very detailed or very comprehensive system of national insurance working in the UK. So we will be testing that. However, it's not a very complicated topic. You simply know the thresholds, like how much of the rates will be applied. So this is very easy topic, not a challenging one. And then there are the ethical consideration in this syllabus, like what could be regarded as tax evasion, like you're evading tax, and what could be regarded as tax avoidance. So clearly, the tax evasion is unethical, whereas the tax avoidance is ethical and it is allowed, because you are within the tax rules, you are following the tax rules and you plan efficiently. As we have discussed previously, that the experienced tax practitioners would advise you how to plan well to save tax. So these are few key areas of the syllabus which we're going to study in detail: how the tax system is applying, the administration, various taxes, and so on. So let's see the weighting of topics, like which topics are tested mostly and who have the greatest weightage, is the income tax, as we have also discussed in the format of the exam, that income tax, corporation tax, VAT will be tested in section C separately. However, these two, section C, whereas the other areas, VAT, income tax, again, all of these areas, the major taxes, would also be tested in section A and section B. So overall, these areas are favored by the examiner because the students are not great in answering these areas. So they are favorite of the examiner. So any area which the students are weak becomes the favorite area for the examiner. Okay. So as I've already said, that these topics will be tested in all sections of the exam. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. I hope the discussion has helped you. I will have another further detailed analysis of these key areas in the upcoming slides. So we have looked at the format of the exam, understanding the syllabus, the text exam, and now we're moving on to the next slide. If you have any questions, you're welcome to put your queries. So now we come to the all important exam technique and strategies which one must follow. One needs to have a good understanding of the time management, how to approach questions, and what are the common pitfalls which students face. So let's see. These I have designed them in a way so that you could understand them properly and you could note them down. So let's see the first one. The time management, if we look at the time management aspect, we need to understand that for every mark there is 1.8 marks. So that I have calculated that your total time is the marks are 100, whereas it is 3 hours, and 3 hours would mean 180 minutes. So if we have this 180 minutes and we divide those minutes with the marks, the answer is going to be 1.8 minutes per mark. So these are the total minutes. And if we do this simple calculation, we can have this idea like how much time we can allocate to specific marks. Okay, so these are your total time and these are your total marks. So this is very important to look, because every question has specific marks and you could decide how much time you can dedicate it. You can dedicate to each section or each question. Okay, so this is a very important thing which you need to keep in mind when appearing in the exam. Time per mark. So then we move on to the order of attempting the exam. This is very, very important. I have seen that the students do not follow this approach and they end up doing section C first. A lot of students tell me that, but this is very wrong. As I told you, that section A and section B together have 60%. Like these have 60% marks and your pass mark is 50%. So if you do these two sections in a really good way, in a really strong way, you could secure a lot of marks and you could secure a pass, or you could get close to securing a pass. And then whatever is left, you can try and get those marks in section C. Okay. This does not mean that I want to emphasize that only passing is important, but I would like to emphasize here that securing a pass mark first is more important. When you do section A and section B with a lot of care, then you will make sure that you earn maximum marks from these two sections. And then you have, first thing, that you have secured a pass. Secondly, you have scored highly in these two sections. And any score that you do in section D, in section C, that is only going to make your score high. Okay. So make sure that you secure yourself, first of all, securing a pass mark, and then you can go for securing high marks in the exam. I tell you that this exam has this tendency of scoring very high marks. Fine. So if you put in the right effort, I would say that you can score really well, and students score very highly. This is not difficult. This is not something which cannot be done. A lot of students have achieved a lot of good scores. So because it's a numerical paper, if you've got the answers correct, you will be in a position to score well. So it's very important to manage the time and this order to attempt the exam, like section A and section B first, and then section C. So don't make mistakes. Never go for section C first, because at times section C might have challenging questions which would make you consume a lot of time, and then there will be very less time left for section A and B. Secondly, the time management is also important, because if you end up doing the whole exam, if you do the whole 100 marks, then what will happen? Then you have actually given yourself a good chance. For example, you're only able to attempt 70% of the exam, or 60% or 80%. So you're actually trying to get your 50 marks from either 70 marks that you've attempted, or 50 or like 80 marks that you have attempted. So if you attempt your 100% exam, so you are trying to get your 50% from 100 marks, which is easy. So If you manage time properly, only then you can give yourself a good chance to pass the exam. Okay. So if we now move on to the other areas, the understanding of the requirements, this is very critical. At times students get in the panic mode, and then they miss out on important details of the questions, and they just mess up and they calculate whatever they like to calculate, which is very unfortunate. You end up losing a lot of marks. So understanding the requirements and reading the requirements properly and keeping yourself calm in the exam situation is of prime importance. Okay. So understanding and reading the requirements can help to answer well. So this is very, very important. Do not get anxious, do not get panic, stay calm, read the requirements, and then you have a good chance of answering the questions. Okay, so then comes how to plan your section C, because section C is a different section where you do not have the MCQs. You have to write the answers in Excel, and for that you need to have good practice. So when you're about to answer a section C question, you have to develop a plan. Like the first section of your exam is going to be based on your main answer, whatever is the requirement. In the later part, you do the workings. So this is going to be your main answer, whatever is required by the examiner, and your workings come underneath. So the main answer will come above and the workings will be followed. So, and workings need to be referenced properly. You see, what gets you marks? The marks are in your workings. So if you do your workings properly, there's a good chance that you will get a high score in section C. So you have to plan your answer properly. You need to use your paper or the sheets to plan your workings, because if you have good detailed workings, you have referenced them well, there's a good chance that you will earn a really good score. Okay, then on the management of the time, I have talked enough that it is crucial, because it is very important that you attempt the whole exam, you attempt the whole 100 marks, which gives you a great chance of securing your 50%. But if you've only completed 50% of the exam, then you give yourself a very little chance of scoring 50% from 50% that you have attempted. So if you have attempted the 100 marks, it is easy to secure the 50 marks from that. So this is very important. Okay. So the next thing that we have is the memorization of the rules, which is quite a big deal in this exam. That students say that memorizing so many rules becomes very difficult. So this is when they're wrong. You do not need to memorize, you need to practice questions, and while you practice, you apply those rules again and again. And with the application, you tend to remember them. You tend to remember, like what is the amount of allowance that is available to all taxpayers. For example, the personal allowance is 12,570. So if you keep on just learning, saying 12,570 20 times is not going to make you remember it. But if you do a lot of question practice and every time you give them the allowance of 12,570, then you tend to remember that. Or what are the rates available to lower brackets of tax? So this is only come is it is only going to come good with the question practice. So you do not need to memorize the rules, you need to do question practice. The more question practice you do, the more application of the rules will be done, and there is a better chance that you will be able to remember those rules. So these are few important details which you need to remember. The exam techniques: reading the question properly, planning your section C, because here it's not an MCQ style. You have to write proper answers, proper working should be presented in an orderly way. They should be referenced, related properly according to the figures to which they are related. So these are key details which you need to remember, because these are extra marks available in them. So the students who score highly actually do these things to make sure that they do not end up losing marks. Instead, they earn extra marks. There are little things which you do and which helps you earn extra marks, which will again come good with good practice. If you have done your practice in an orderly way, you will benefit. I will get into details of how to do that in the upcoming slides. So let's move on now. I hope we're doing strong. If there are any questions, you people can let me know before I go any further. Okay, so I feel you people are doing well. So I am moving on with the next slide. Okay, so now we have had a simple discussion of the topics. Now let's look at the a bit of a detailed discussion of the syllabus, which is going to be very useful when you actually start your study and look at the lecture videos. So what sort of incomes an individual can have and how they would be taxed. So for example, first of all, we look at income tax, VAT, and inheritance tax here. For employment income, the tricky part is the taxable benefits. Like the tax authorities, you see the individuals working in their employment receive number of benefits which are not in cash, which would be as an employee might be getting a car, an employee might be getting a house provided by the employer, an employee might be getting their expenses paid or their free food during the working hours. They might get a loan, they might get certain gifts from their employer. So the employer is generous enough to give them all the gifts and all the benefits, but the taxpayers or the tax authorities see them as taxable benefits. These are the benefits that they're getting and they are taxable. So there are specific rules how to calculate the value of the benefit which will be taxed. So this is an important area. So just by discussion of these things, you will have some idea of understanding these things. Now, when it comes to trading income, how the trading profit will be assessed. Like you see, a trader would like to put in as much like as many expenses as they can to make sure that they show a trading loss and they do not end up having to pay any taxes. So the tax authorities are very strict here and they do not allow every expense to be deducted. There are only few expenses that you can deduct which are related to the business. If they are not related to business and they are fictitious, then the tax authorities do not allow that. Then there is another important area which are regarded as the capital allowances. Now, this is a very simple thing. It is just an alternate of the accounting depreciation, but it's another challenging working. It requires a lot of understanding and detailed workings for this topic, capital allowances. So the tax authorities have their own version of depreciation. They do not allow the accounting depreciation. So that depreciation needs to be added back, and the tax version of depreciation, which is capital allowances, is deducted. Then we come to the property business. An individual who has a house or who has a shop and they let it out and they earn the rent from that. So that would be considered as a simple property. An individual might be renting a certain room in their home which is extra to earn some money. And then there is this FHL, furnished holiday letting. This is considered a trade, a business, when a hotel is running and they have to satisfy certain conditions of the HMRC, of the tax authorities, and when they satisfy those conditions they get special benefits which are not available to simple property business. Okay, like a simple property business letting out a room, letting out a house, letting out any area or a shop. But the FHL is a proper business where you are letting certain rooms, you're running a hotel, things like that. So they get special benefits, but a simple property does not get those benefits. Okay, so this is an important distinction which you will understand when you look at this topic in detail. Then pensions. The pensions are there to design taxpayers to encourage savings. The taxpayers can contribute into pensions Like there are two types of pensions. One is managed by the employer. The other one is managed by the taxpayer on their own. They can get in touch with certain financial institution for their pensions, and they, if they do so, they get certain tax benefits. So both the pension contributions have benefits. Okay, so the individuals would contribute in the schemes and they would get their tax benefits now and later as well. When they get on pensionable age, they get those benefits, and while they contribute, while they're earning, they also get tax benefits. Okay, so these will be discussed in detail when you look at this topic in the lecture videos. Then there are capital gains, as I discussed, that the items which were not supposed to be sold, they were supposed to be used, but now they are sold. Like for example, a person needs a new house, they have sold out their old house and bought a new one, or certain property which they bought it for investment purposes, they're selling it. So they realize a gain, and that gain would be taxed under capital gains tax rules. There are also certain reliefs for businesses and certain reliefs for individuals when they sell their own house, which they used for living in them. So the whole gain would be exempt if a person has lived in their house throughout. There will be, even if there is a gain, that gain will be exempted. Okay, or if a business is selling an asset, a building or a property or a warehouse, and they reuse that proceed, they received the money from selling the old warehouse and they bought a new warehouse with the same money, then no gain is charged. Okay, so the tax authorities are very generous in giving the reliefs when there is a reinvestment of money coming in the economy. So these are important reliefs. There are 4 or 5 reliefs which are quite important in a technical area of the syllabus, which we're going to study. Okay, so there are capital gains tax, but at the same time, the gains are relieved if certain conditions are met. For example, if you sell something, you get some money back, like the whatever you have received, whatever cash you have received. If you reinvest everything, then there is no gain. Or if a person is selling their house and they have used their house throughout for living, then there is no gain chargeable. Obviously there is going to be gain that they have realized, but that gain will be considered exempt. So these are various rules which we are going to study in detail when we look at these topics. Then value added tax, the administration of the value added tax is quite complicated, and then there are certain schemes which the tax authorities have designed for the taxpayer to use to ease out of the complicated administration issues of the VAT. But these are designed for the small businesses. For large businesses, they can hire specialists to deal with those complications. So for smaller businesses, there are specific schemes that they can enter, and they can get themselves exempted of the detailed administration of the value added tax. Then inheritance tax, there are like certain during the lifetime transfer, when an individual is alive and they have given those gifts, or when the individual dies, then they leave certain estate value. So that would be tax. So that would be covered under the inheritance tax. Okay, so we have discussed these now in more detail. We have had a overview initially, now we have discussed them in detail as well. So this discussion will actually benefit you when you look at the lecture videos in detail. So now we come to the corporation tax. This tax is applied on companies. The companies would be having some trading profits. The companies might have certain properties that they have let out. The companies might have sold certain items, and they would also gain the same reliefs like the individuals have relief, because this was the category for the individuals and now this is for companies. The companies also sell their properties, they also realize gains when they sell their properties at higher values than what they paid for them. So those gains would also be exempted if they reinvest the money. So this is just one example that I'm giving. There are plenty of other reliefs available. So when we're going to understand this topic in detail, we will understand them. But all sorts of incomes that the government is or the company is earning would be taxed under the corporation tax rules. Like what sort of tax would be applied on a company, if a company is a small company or a large company or a medium-sized company. There are certain details, the brackets, which determine whether it's a large company or a small company. The tax rates are different for various types of companies. You will understand when you look at the lecture videos. Then there are the administration issues, when to pay taxes, when to identify the tax authorities that the company is earning trading income, the company is newly formed, and there are many details. Like if you want to get a relief, there is a certain period in which you can claim a relief. So the administration issues are also quite detailed, which is a challenging area. Like at times, students would know how to calculate the taxation, how to calculate the taxable benefits, but the administration is also challenging. Like when is the date to submit tax, when is the date to submit the information which is regarded as tax return. So these things are going to be a challenge, and the as I told you, the examiners favor these areas which the students feel challenging. So we have provided you with plenty of question practice and detailed lecture videos to understand and have a strong grip on those technical areas. Then another area which comes as losses. If a business is making a loss, so that is not considered good thing. But for taxation, it is considered a good thing, because if a company or an individual is making a loss, then there are going to be tax benefits for that. The tax authorities would allow you to reduce your other incomes with the loss that you have made. So in normal circumstances, making a loss is bad, but the tax authorities are quite generous to the traders or the companies. When they make a loss, they can relieve their loss against other profits. Like if in one year there is a loss and in the other year there is a profit, so that loss can be relieved against the profit and the tax can be saved. Okay, so these are some initiatives which the tax authorities have provided to the companies and to the individuals as well. When we'll study the trading income, if an individual is doing a business and they have a trading loss, so they also have access to plenty of loss reliefs. We will understand them in detail when you look at the lecture videos for the specific topic, the trading losses. Okay, so I hope now you have a better understanding of the syllabus and what do you expect to understand. So if you are comfortable, then we can move on. Okay, so I feel you're all fine. So now we come to the all important, the resources and the study tips and how we are going to support you. So the resources that we are providing you is through VLS support. So VLS is going to offer you a very comprehensive set of videos for every lecture. So the lecture videos will explain all the topics in detail. These lecture videos are supported with the question practice videos. So first of all, you understand the topic, then you practice the questions related to the topic, and right after that, you have quizzes. And you also have the lecture notes available with everything. So you watch the lecture videos, you attempt the question practice videos, and then you attempt the quiz that helps you realize like what is your progress? Have you understand things properly? Like watching a question practice video is easy, but attempting the quiz is going to be challenging because while you are attempting the quiz, you do not have access to the answers. You have to attempt the quiz in a specific time, and that is going to challenge and test you. Like how well have you understood the concepts of the lecture videos and the question practice videos. So this is quite important that you follow this approach. That first of all you watch the lecture videos, then the question practice videos, and then you attempt the quizzes to assess yourself. The next thing that comes in is the progress test. We have designed progress test during the whole course, like when you cover a significant part, then a detailed progress test will come to test you. Okay, so you have these quizzes, and after the quizzes, after 4 or 5 chapters, you will have a progress test. Then you also have to do a mock exam when you're done with the whole syllabus. So first of all, you strengthen a specific chapter. You watch the lecture videos, you do the question videos, you do the quizzes, and to cover that comprehensively, you have to have progress test. Then at the end, you will have mock exams. So this is the main support that we provide. Now we come to the additional support, which comes through the live sessions. You see, the students feel that live sessions are quite important. The live sessions are main thing. But I would argue that the live sessions are only there for question practice. Like we will do some more question practice, which is not available here on site. This will be new question practice. And these will also give you a chance to have an interaction with the tutor during the live session. You could discuss your individual problems, or if there is a topic that is making things tough for you, so you can use the live sessions to interact with the tutor. Like I'm going to take the live sessions for your TX exam. And then there are assignments. The assignments are designed to strengthen your ability to deal with the written bits. You see, there are a lot of written based questions in the exam where you have to write things. And it has been observed by the examiner that the students are not very good at answering the written bits. So, for that, we have developed specific assignments targeting important areas, and we would allow you to get access to the assignments, and there will be a specific time given to complete your assignments. And then these assignments will be marked. You will get a feedback on those assignments, which is going to be very important, and it is going to contribute to your ability to write better answers. My request here is to do the assignments on your own. Do not copy paste from your books or from your kits, because if you're copy pasting, then you're only going to fool yourself, not anyone else. So you can do wrong assignments, you can do wrong answers, incomplete answers, but that's all fine. That is only giving you an assessment that you're weak in this area and you can work to improve that area. Okay, but do not copy paste. Okay, do your own work, because in the exam there's going to be no support available. So you do your assignments on your own, then I will be marking them and I will give you the feedback. On top of all this, I am available for you people on the WhatsApp. You are doing your question, you get into a problem, you can discuss or share the problem on WhatsApp. You can approach me privately as well with your problem. So there is no issue. We have this close interaction with our students so that they have a greater chance of passing the exam. So this methodology, which I've just mentioned, is also written here, that the lecture videos are the first line of attack. Then you have the question practice videos. Then the quizzes are critical. These are very important quizzes. Once you do the quizzes properly, there is a great chance that you will be able to do well in the exam. This is from the experience that the students who attempt the quizzes get a really good assessment. So remember the order for every chapter, cover the lecture videos, understand the question practice videos, and attempt the quizzes. The biggest pitfall that the students have is that they watch a lecture video, move on to the next chapter, watch its lecture video, and then third one and fourth one, and they never get exposed to the questions. Because in the exams, you are not going to be explaining things, you will have to attempt questions. So if you have not attempted questions, it will make no sense. So attempting questions is very important. So quizzes are critical. And then the progress test will be there to have a greater assessment. Okay, there will be progress test after a certain important areas of the syllabus are covered. Okay, so this is all the support that Vertex is providing you. It's very comprehensive, it's very complete. and you will not have to use any other material. You can go back to your text. You can use any text. You can use vertex notes which are available. You can have access to a complete set of notes. There are notes available after every lecture video. Alongside every lecture video, the question practice videos are also supported with the Excel sheets. Okay, so there's a complete package available here. Now it's up to you to utilize it, to work hard and make sure that you succeed in the exam. Okay, so I hope things are going fine. We're all comfortable. So we're almost done with the things. So if there is any question, you people can let me know, and I hope you people have benefited. So we have concluded this webinar. We have discussed some important areas of the syllabus, the exam techniques, the support that we are going to provide. So if there are any questions, any queries, you people can ask me. Now you see there is a lot of material available for you people to benefit. And if you use it well, you're going to have really good preparation for your exam. Okay, now I've got a question. Yes, students, you can write your queries. You can turn on your mics to ask your queries. Yeah, feel free to ask your questions. You have the forum right now. You can use the WhatsApp to ask your questions. So I would recommend that now is the time to start your study. Start from the question practice videos. Start from a specific order that is provided on the site. And yes, you can see the for the enrollment in the message box. You can see the number where you can contact to get enrolled. You people can see the message, the chat. So students, I hope the webinar was beneficial for you. You have understood these important details, and you're all set for the June 2025 attempt. And we're going to conclude the session here. And you can get in touch with Vertex on WhatsApp or on the number which is provided to you in the chat box. Okay. So I am waiting for your queries. If you have any queries, do let me know.
Sir, I guess there is a student wants to ask question. Andrew, I guess his name.
Yes, please. Yes, Andrew. Okay, Andrew has gone silent. Okay, anyway. So students, if there are any questions, I'm available on WhatsApp. You can contact me, and you can contact on the number which is provided for your enrollments. And so I think this was beneficial for you. If you have no queries, it means that it went very well. Yes. Okay, so I will be concluding the session here if there are no queries. And if you have any queries, you can send message on WhatsApp. You can approach me privately as well for your queries or any confusions that you might face. Otherwise, you can just enroll yourself and start your study. Yes, people, if there's any issue, we can go back to the slides. And if there is any issue in a specific area, we can go back and check and understand better. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to conclude the session here, and I hope it was beneficial. You people can contact me for your queries. Otherwise, it's best that you start your study, your journey for success on the VLS TX page, where the lecture videos are organized, and you can start them. And starting with the lecture videos, followed by the question practice videos, and then quizzes to assess yourself. Okay, so that is all from my side. Take care.